wanted like a Zoom call or something, because then I have to like put everybody onto the stage. So if you have to speak, then you would have to basically request me, right? So anytime like during the call, if somebody wants to jump on, you guys can raise your hand and I can invite you to be on the stage with me talking. And I think the way that I wanted this call more is to be a Q&A, because I've been getting a lot of DMs these days, and especially like the young graduates who are coming out of college and want jobs in construction industry. And it's been challenging since like with the current situation, recession coming in or whatnot, people are scared. So I thought to just put something together and then share my insight as of what I feel like and also what I went through on my journey, like my story. And then if you guys have questions, you can ask questions as well that, hey, how do we navigate here, or how do we apply for job and whatnot. So you guys feel free to jump on, and I think that's how I want it to be, to do it in this way, in this style of question and answer. So feel like we're almost on the time, so we can get started on this side. And as people jump in, we'll continue with on. So thank you. We got 6 people in the listening here. I see Mark is here. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining, man. I know you're kind of busy today, but good to have you here. So basically, I'll start with myself. So my introduction. My name is Anirudh. I go by Ani most of the time here in US because people. It's hard for people to pronounce the name, so I usually go by Ani, and that's how people know me. I started my journey back in 2007 when I did my I started enrolling in college in India. So that's where I did my civil engineering. So 2007 to 2011, which I feel like most of you folks here has the same background, where you had your undergrad done there and then you pursued your master's and came in for your master's. So that's how I started my journey. And then 2012, I had some experience in India. I went to some of the job site there and then worked as a project engineer for a local company, which I really didn't like. Like it was something that I hated the most. And then actually there was a turning point in the career which allowed me to pursue a higher education, that I would want to go to a master's degree, right? So then I came to US in 2013 January and started my master's in, I would say, construction management, but I chose the field of civil engineering. Like my master in science is civil engineering, but majority of my courses that I took were from construction management background. And I think most of the people come from international or even here, they pursue the same route. So I did that for about a year and a half and graduated in 2014. I was applying for a lot of internship at that point, but again, it was hard to get internship, especially when you're international, when you come in this market and you don't have a previous background or experience here. It's typically get hard for you to get an internship, which happens with a lot of us, right? It's hard for us to get an internship right away. So I was in the same boat. I applied to many internship, but didn't had any much luck there. But after my graduation, I applied for many different jobs and started getting some job application approved. So I had a project engineer job approved by Autobridge, is a company here local in Miami. So actually my school is University of Florida, by the way. So I went to University of Florida and did my master's and then started applying for jobs and got like 2 project engineer job. It was Autobridge and it was another current builder who's local contractor here. And then the third one was through Baker, right? So Baker was one of the job which I really found of because it was BIM job, and I found my calling when I was studying during my graduation. I was studying BIM and really found love with it. Like this is what I want to pursue and go towards. So Baker provided me that opportunity, even though it was like really starting base point, and the other jobs were kind of a little bit more on high end, but I chose this path because I knew that this is where I wanted to go and this is what I love doing. So then I chose this and joined Baker in 2014. It was June 2014. And then since then, never looked back. And actually Mark is in the audience. He's the one conducted my interview. But After that, never looked back. Just continued the journey with Baker. It's been will be 9 years this June, and then it has been a really good ride and experience, I would say, both the time, right? So I was when I joined, BIM was really new in 2014, not as new, but yeah, it was fairly new, where people were just introducing in it and then trying to experiment with it. And I was the first one actually in here. I had a supervisor before me, but then he left and I was the one left that, okay, you start writing this BIM wagon and continue with this. And then so I got a lot of opportunity. At the beginning of my career, it was a lot of hurdles to cross over because nobody knew what BIM was, and I was a recent graduate coming out of the college. So a lot of people didn't paid much attention to me. They were like, yeah, this is a young kid, what are you going to bring, right? But slowly and slowly the upper management had that trust on me. I was started showing the kind of the ROI, you would say, that what all these return that would putting out in technology would provide, and then they started believing in it, and then slowly it started happening gradually, right? Then certain people got more interested. We went getting more deeper into the technology side of it, and then slowly kind of went through it. So till now, from the 2014 till 2023 today, it has been really good experience within where I am right now. But I do see that a lot of people face a challenge when they come out of the college, where how to navigate it, right? How to get a job. That was the first thing, is like, how do we get a job, right? How do we get an internship? And it is tough, right? So I do want to kind of get into that side with you guys a little bit. I know a lot of people jumping in as well. So we would start doing some Q&A, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about where the construction industry is right now and where it's moving towards, right? In my perspective, obviously there's a lot of things happening outside as well, but from technology standpoint, where I come from, my role is mostly construction technology and BIM. And I've been seeing the trend from past 10 years that industry is shifting towards technology quite a bit now. So BIM and VDC, when I started, was kind of very at the low end where people realizing it, but now in 10 years it has grown quite a bit, where it started becoming more mainstream, where people actually are asking that can we do BIM on our job from very get-go, from the design team, from the engineering team. They started implementing BIM in their practices. So I was reading recently was reading a study McKinsey put out, and they said that BIM has grown 270% in last 10 years, and it has a huge potential for next 10 to 15 years. So if you're in construction, I would highly recommend that you should have some knowledge of BIM or construction technology in general. Even though you're more geared towards the field side, that you want to be project management or project engineering side, it would be better to possess some of these technology knowledge, because in long run it will really help you, right? This would be something you can become and create your own niche and then start pursuing further on. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys today as well. But we want to keep it as a Q&A style. I see a lot of people jumping in. So we want to do that way. I actually have Vabhov also jumped on the call. And Vabhov, if you don't mind, I want to call you on the stage because Vabo is actually one of the intern we had last summer in Baker, and I want to kind of have him talk a little bit with you guys that what his story was, because he was successful recently in getting an internship and also getting a full-time job, right? So I want Vabo to, if Vabo you feel comfortable, I do want you to invite you on the stage and then talk some of these guys, then how your story was. So. Yeah, if you can raise your hand, Vabo, I can jump you on the stage. And then we'll start in the Q&A. Yep, so there you go, Vabo. I'm going to make you allowed to speak. How have you been, Vabo?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Yeah, sorry to throw you under the bus, but I feel like you recently has went through the same experience, and there's a lot of folks in the chat as well as outside of it are going through it right now. So I want to hear from you a little bit that how has your journey been recently, and then what is something that you did made you land a internship and then a job afterwards. So if you can just talk a little bit, that would be great for with these guys too.
Yes, for sure. So first of all, hello everyone. I'm Vaibhav, and I started my master's journey in 2021 fall, and then after coming here, I was so actually the preparation for hunting the internship started like even before coming to the US because I was working on like how I can do
Mm-hmm.
something that will help me land an internship once I get or like once I come to the US. So I was preparing my or like working on my personal portfolio, building my website and stuff. And then after coming here, I started thinking about like how I can make sure that I stand out from other students when we go into career fairs and stuff. Because when we go into career fairs, personally for my batch, I had like 50 to 60 students just from construction management, and
Mm-hmm.
then there were undergrads and students from civil engineering as well. So I personally feel that when you go and talk to like like
A
different
recruiter,
companies,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, on paper everyone looks similar when we see everyone's resume, but there has to be something that makes you stand out from other, that will help like the people from the companies remember you. So I had my like website built by my first career fair, and I remember creating like small business cards kind of things wherein I had QR codes in them. So when someone scans that QR code, it takes them to my website, which had links to. It was
Mm-hmm.
similar to Linktree, but it was like a website. So it had link to my LinkedIn, my resume, and like different stuff that I have done. So I remember talking to because I know Mark was the first person I spoke with because I had researched about Baker, and I knew it was involved in BIM, and I knew I wanted to go into BIM and VDC and like construction
Mm-hmm.
technology side of the industry and not into project controls or any other side. So I was pretty
Mm-hmm.
clear about that. And then I remember talking to Mark because he was the first person I spoke with, and it was a great conversation with him. I knew after talking to him that it was a great conversation, and I was looking forward to hear from him. And he had referred me to
Mm-hmm.
you, Anirudh, and
Mm-hmm.
after that I contacted you on LinkedIn, and we got to talk about a few things that I was
Mm-hmm.
interested in, and then that led to me landing an internship with Baker.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's perfect. Like what Vaibhav shared right now, and I would encourage everybody who is pursuing like a internship or a job, look at his profile. You know, his LinkedIn profile is really attractive, and that's what he's talking about, stands out from the crowd, right? And we have resources in current days that you can utilize to make yourself stand out. You know, like business card he's talking about. I mean, simple things you can do that would give you an edge from the other guys, right? So and then also building yourself behind the scene is like your how much experience you have in back. Like he said he started from India, continuing like experiences, because that's what company looks into right now. Is like, okay, you're great in communication and whatnot, but how much experience you had in past? That's what they're looking for. If you're really green, then you might not have that much edge than somebody else who had at least somewhat experience, maybe an year or two doing some kind of construction, right? So having that edge would definitely help. Well, thank you, Wabo, again for kind of showering your and bringing some light on it. You know, I think this is great that what you shared right now would help some people. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So let's move on to Q&A now. I think I have a bunch of people jumping in now. So anybody that want to ask question, I would highly encourage you guys raise your hand and we can start talking. You know, we can start answering questions. If you have something, we'll love to kind of answer some of your questions. You know, that's what I think these the event I wanted to do is like mostly a Q&A style, where if you guys are pursuing a career or if you just started and if you have any questions that you need to ask, please feel free to raise your hand, and then we can go. I can bring you guys up on the stage and go from there. So anybody in the crowd want to jump on and ask any questions? Okay, so we'll continue with the talk, and if you guys come up with any questions, we will continue. I'll just raise your hand on the chat, and then I'll bring you up on the stage in listening mode. So, talking about construction technology, right? So, construction technology in general is a vast majority area. Like it covers a lot of things, right? You can start from BIM, or BIM would be the basic of it, like hey, BIM serves it, but construction in technology in general is not just BIM. It doesn't stop right there. BIM and VDC is a whole separate division and department, you can say, but construction technology itself covers other areas, including, you would say, 3D scanning, right? You can have drone photogrammetry mapping. You can say recently we have VR, AR introduced in it. Or even on the job side, when we say construction technology, Procore is a good example. It comes under that range. It's a document management system, but it's considered part of construction technology. Anything that is on cloud, anything that is on computer is considered as construction technology, right? And you just have to imagine it in a way that if you can find certain niche within your career that you can be an expert of, that would give you an edge from anybody else. What I found in my case is BIM was the first thing that I found to be really knowledgeable, and Revit in particular is a software that I dive into and really mastered it from the beginning. Like during the college days, I was just learning it nonstop, because as a student, you guys get a free trial, or not free trial, but actually a full version for however amount of you're doing in college. So you go through those software and then dive into it, start working through it and start getting in it. I think that will give you a niche on your own, that you are really good at that one software, and then from there you start building yourself upon. So find that one software that, or anything that you can be master at, and nobody else has that much knowledge apart from you, and you're the one that people would go time to time about that. If it's a Procore, just dive into and become a master of it. If it's Revit, become the master of it. So find that particular niche that you have, and then become the master of it, and you will realize that people automatically would start within your company. They'll start noticing it. Another thing I would say here is about internship, right? So a lot of people were asking me questions on LinkedIn is like, do you guys have internship availability? We have a lot of application comes in, and there's a limited slot that we provide internship for, but we cannot fit everybody on, right? And I do feel for a lot of the young people coming out of the colleges that internship is really important, because it first of all, it gives you the taste of what the job look like from your perspective. At the same time, from the company perspective, it gives them an idea of how good of an asset you are for the company to move on for the long run. So we prefer in Baker, that you go through this route of an intern, and then slowly turn into full time. So internship is really important for any company out there and selecting you, but it's really hard to get into it as well, right? Because there's a limited slot, and there's so many people that applying for internship. Like I said at the beginning, that I didn't got an internship when I started my career. So what I did instead, I reduced the amount of time that I would take for graduation. I completed, instead of 2 years, I completed it in 1.5 years, because I knew that I need to get a job as soon as possible. If I continue pursuing it, it would take me too long. A lot of time people think that, okay, let me extend another 6 months and continue trying for it, which is great. That works as well. But in my mind, it was more like, if I create a pressure on myself, I'll be more proactive on getting for a job. So I reduced my time to graduate in 1.5 years, and then put myself upfront that, okay, I'm graduating now, I need to get a job. And that's the reality of it. Like, you have to get out there. If you become too comfortable in your place, you won't reach out as many as people you should, right? So reaching out as many as people, that would be the good strategy to go on. And for internship, if you don't get it, right? For example, if you didn't get an internship, that's not the end of the world. I had a friend in University of Florida. What he did instead is, like, he went to a local contractor in Gainesville, really small guy. Like, he was just building some driveways of concrete and paved, and he reached out to him and asked him, like, hey, can I volunteer instead, right? Rather than internship, he went to this local small contractor and asked them that, hey, can I volunteer and then do some estimating for you? And the guy said, yeah, why not? It's a free resource he's getting, from University of Florida. So he didn't say anything no. And then he continued an a 3 month internship, an unpaid internship, right? There are some regulation you have to check with your international center if you're in school, but he got that 3 month and basically got an internship certificate, which also helped him long term in getting a job afterward, right? But I'm saying, like, if you don't get an internship, there's an opportunity you can actually find out some local contractor in your region and just go and knock at their door and ask them, like, hey, can I volunteer just for experience, right? I mean, you're not getting it paid if you don't get an internship anyway, so why not just gain some experience, which will help you to give that edge that if once the full-time jobs comes in, you can tell that, okay, what I did this summer is I was doing this much work for this local contractor, and that also gives you a little bit edge than somebody who didn't do anything, right? So that's one thing you guys can approach it in that way. You know, you can start looking at it in this way and approach that. Okay, if you're getting towards not getting an internship, you can easily find somebody local to get that internship. Again, I would request anybody in the crowd that want to ask questions, feel free to raise your hand, and I can call you up on the stage and ask. Okay, so Rashmi raised the ask. Okay, allowed to speak. Yeah, Rashmi, how are you?
Yeah. Hi Anirudh, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so I'm a graduate student at UNC Charlotte in Construction and Facilities Management, and this is my first semester. I'm doing BIM course where I'm learning Revit and Navisworks, and I'm very much interested in BIM. I have a question that for next semester they're offering BIM 2, that is advanced BIM course. So should I go for it or should I broaden my portfolio by choosing
Yes.
different courses?
Okay, perfect. So so you're already taking a BIM course and they're offering another course, I would say you should go for it, right? Because if you found interest in it, that yeah, this is the career path I want to choose, you should definitely invest more of your time doing that, right? Rather than broadening yourself up and taking a construction law course or something else that you would never use it, rather than focus yourself building on this career path, right? That okay, I want to do BIM VDC and I really want to invest in it and find out every tools out there that people use in industry, and then start learning those tools. So I would highly recommend you to take that course and then start approaching, if you don't get an internship, like same thing, start approaching people for volunteer stuff, you know, like, hey, can I just help you out with this? And because when you do in college, and that same thing happened to me, like I took the BIM course in college, but you don't really get a hands-on experience until you have like a construction project to work upon. So those things you really need to try out and find somebody locally fit to be, you can convert their PDF drawing into 3D model and then help them do that, and which will provide you a better understanding of, okay, this is how real world would work, rather than in school they teach you the tools but won't give you the practical knowledge. But yeah, I would highly recommend you go for it, you know, take that second course.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And I have one more question.
Sure.
Like, is it necessary to have field experience to be BIM or VDC engineer?
Not necessarily. So when you're coming out of the college, obviously it is expected that you don't have any experience at all, right? But what I would say is it is good to have field experience and knowledge, because imagine when you're modeling something, you took a BIM course and you got a construction set of document and they told you to model it, right? You need to understand that document first, right? You need to understand what the that line means or what it means. So having that little bit field experience would help you to at least get the basics of it. But you don't necessarily have to be in the field to learn it. You can be in under anybody supervision and start learning it. However, if let's say you go down the line and you get a job and you go into a company, I would recommend you to request them to put you in field for certain time at the beginning. So maybe like role switching, a lot of companies do that, or one week in or one day in a week you can ask them to send you out in the field to do a job shadow. What it will do is basically it will help you to broaden your knowledge about field, because at the end of the day whatever you will be doing here would be implemented back in the field, right? Construction is more a tangible a field that you have to actually go and build it. What we're doing is we're virtually building this building before it get built in the real environment. So you going out in the field and seeing actually how it get built would give you a lot more knowledge to virtually build it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, to begin with, I don't think you need a lot of field experience, but yeah, when you get into the industry, you should opt for more field experience as much as you can get, but then convert that field knowledge back to the BIM industry or the BIM knowledge. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Thank
Yep.
you for hosting this.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna move you down. Anybody else in the audience, feel free, raise your hand, Okay, so we got Rishabh, Sagar. Let me invite Rishabh first. And I'll also invite Sagar too. So let's go Rishabh first. What's your question?
Yeah, Anirudh, my question is that I'm currently working for a structural steel erector.
Okay.
So I wanted to know that what do you recommend, because you also work for a trade contractor. How, what things I can do, in my current role, which can help me grow further in the company? Or
Okay.
is it like, is it, or should I, transition to working for a general contractor, or should I work for a owner's rep, doing project controls kind of things? What is your perspective on this matter?
Okay, so you're working for a steel contractor, right? Like a specialty
Yes.
contractor? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
That is the best way to actually be in the industry, to be honest, like from my perspective. Obviously, no offense to the general contractor world, but what you get from a specialty contractor is as it's a hands-on experience, because you're the one actually building the job, right? When you look at the general contractor world, it's mostly more involved with the documentation side, but not really like hands-on experience, like what actually build would be, right? So with me, with Baker Concrete, like we build the structure grounds up, right? And we get involved from the get-go. So I would say that you should stick where you are. Now, in terms of growing yourself within that space, so currently you are, as a project engineer, are you like doing anything with BIM VDC or just specifically on a project engineering side?
Majority of my time is spent in project P6 scheduling and preparing the virtual plans to update the progress.
Okay.
I am slowly getting involved with coordinating the model, because as a steel erector, steel gets a first right of way. Yes. Kind of a that's the privilege we enjoy. And yes. Our job is only to our detailers prepare the steel model in Tekla. Okay. And we forward it to our GC.
Okay.
So that is the only contribution we have as a steel erector in BIM.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I mean I understand, like we come from the same side. Like concrete gets more privilege than the other trade would be, right? Because you're not going to move concrete around, but the other trade moves around us. What I found is obviously for you, like you're more in the field, involved in field and doing your scheduling side of it. Now there's a lot of scheduling, it's coming, like innovation in scheduling coming out as well. A recent example I would give is 4D scheduling, which actually not recent, it's been used for a while. But if you're a scheduler, if you're taking a P6, you can actually look into some software called Synchro or other platform, but Synchro is the major one for 4D, and you can take your scheduling to next level. So what you can do with that, you have your model, you have your P6 schedule, you combine them together, and now you have a visual schedule, right, a 4D, that can help you show the whole sequence of the steel erection happening. And that is like really invaluable for anybody looking at in the company. Like I know that for steel guys, you have like your shop drawings, your erection sequence, and it goes a lot more in detail. But if you can visually represent that, that would be like gold, like that's how I did it. And when I started my career, like I was doing a lot of 4Ds for concrete shell, right? We were bidding a lot of jobs. So I was converting their schedule into a sequence and animation format, and everybody loves it because it was so easy to understand how the sequence will go, how the erection will go, how the crane will come in, what pick it will do. And the technology has evolved so much now that you can do all that. There's software out there that will help you to do that certain things. So if you can get involved more on that side within your industry, you can excel. Like within your role, you can excel quite a bit and find that niche that, okay, 4D is your niche and nobody can touch you in that area. And then people will automatically start going to you more and more rather than seeing those boring P6 schedule. Now you have a way to represent it more in visual format.
So, Anirudh, what resources I can use to gain? Because I have heard of Synchro many a times. I have seen some demonstrations of it as well. So, although my company is not using it right now, but for my personal skill development, I would like to invest some time and effort into learning Synchro. So, what would you recommend me to do?
Yeah, so Synchro is actually very simple. It looks from outside, it might look complicated, but when you actually start looking at it, the base is a scheduling software. Like it's a scheduling software. That's how they developed it. They just added the integration of the 3D in it. So if you know P6 or any other scheduling software, you'll get Synchro in no time, right?
Okay.
The only catch would be here is the getting the software, right? Because Synchro was a standalone before. Now Bentley bought it, so Bentley owns it, and I don't know what the price is, but it shouldn't be more expensive. A company which is a good decent size can really invest in it. So first thing what I would do is like maybe try to get a trial version and create a demo for them, right? You just have to start learning it. I think you can go online. There are a lot of tutorial that you can watch. And actually, I myself is getting into more on the learning side. So soon I'll be launching a lot of the tutorial myself as well. So stay tuned on that side with that. I can start giving you guys some of the feedback. But those you can create a good demo, like a first schedule for your company, and present it to your higher ups and say that, hey, can we do this now? And I'm pretty sure as soon as they see the one, or even grab some example from internet or somebody else and present it to them that I want to do this. Can you help me get a license for a month or two and start diving into it? And I'm pretty sure if they see the value in it, they'll invest in it. And that's how I would start, like do a demo first and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, Anirudh, your point for looking at Synchro is very valid for me, and I can draw a lot of inspiration from your journey.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I'm reaching out more now. I'll be putting out more videos and we can touch base more on that side, like talk more on Synchro outside, okay?
Yes, Anirudh, I will keep you posted of my progress.
All right. Thanks, Rishabh. I got Sagar here. So Sagar, yeah, please.
Yeah, hello, Anuj. Good morning. First of
Hey,
all,
good
thank you
morning.
for hosting such
Yes,
wonderful, knowledgeable event over here on LinkedIn.
no
And
worries.
so, first of all, my name is Sagar. I'm currently the international student at UTA, pursuing construction management,
Mm-hmm.
and also working as a teaching assistant over here, and I'm helping students with Primavera P6. Moving forward, currently, like with the role, because of the role, you can say, I was able to like explore the different
Mm-hmm.
aspects of Primavera P6, and slowly my field engineering, that is, my field experience has been very valuable in this industry in helping me manage the durations and all those things. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that I just want to know one thing, like which part of Primavera, like how Primavera is useful in BIM, and like you have majorly covered the parts of what we say with through the earlier speakers' questions.
Yeah.
And my main concern is that like along with P6, like P6 is a basic tool of planning, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
scheduling, and along with that, what other tools we should learn to enter into the BIM industry, and
Mm-hmm.
which part does it cover, like 4D, 5D, which exact part does it cover over there?
Okay, perfect. Yes, I think this is tied more to the previous question that Rishabh asked was going from scheduling to transitioning over to BIM. The 4D is the first one, right? So if you have Primavera knowledge already, you can create your schedule and export it out. Now Primavera itself is a huge platform, right? Like there's so many things that you can dive into it. Like if you go to the resource management, the risk mitigation. I mean, that software itself has a lot to offer. 4D is just basically another added layer more for visual formatting, right? And nowadays that's what's happening is like you are an expert in Primavera, so you can create a really complex schedule. But the other 10 guys that you're going to show them, they have no clue about what Primavera it is, right? Like they have no idea how to read. A lot of the people I've met, like they don't even know how to read Gantt chart, and I feel like how are you in construction industry if you can't read Gantt chart? So for them, it becomes a tool that you take this complex schedule and then break it down in a visual format and more like a storytelling, I would say, right? That you're putting all these data in a visual that anybody can understand, and especially for owners or the stakeholders. A lot of time these people are not from construction industry, and if you present it to them, they just love it. They can see it that, oh wow, this is how my building's going to build, this is how. And with Synchro, it's actually you can even do some charts, like when you resource or manpower load your P6 schedule, you can bring those data into P6 and actually show them with a graphical format. So if it's a manpower loaded schedule, you can show when is your peaks of your manpower would be, when it's going to be low. If it's a material loaded, you can again show it with your graphs that, okay, during this time of your project, this is going to be the highest manpower you would require. And once you show that in visual format, I mean, you just won that show. I remember going in one of the meeting, it was back in 2015, a job that I did, and it was like room full of like all the big people, like the general contractor, there were engineers, all of them, and we're building this all about Florida train track. And then I just simply, they were all just 30 minutes, they were asking question about how you're going to erect this, which beam is going to go now, when the crane is coming in. And my presentation was at the end, and I started playing this 2 minutes video, and everybody was silent. Like everybody had clarity of, okay, this is how we're gonna do. And the meeting was legit ended in like 5 minutes. Then they were doing discussion for 30 minutes. So it holds a lot of power in that way. So that's first question is like, okay, transition into that side. The second you ask is like, what other BIM tools you can get into it, right? And then if
So
you want to
related
get
to
into the BIM,
Primavera. Yeah,
related to
like
Primavera.
the
Okay.
thing is that Primavera, like certain tools I also know, like Primavera, AutoCAD, Revit. That's it. Revit on a basic level.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah. So moving to the planning, scheduling, and cost side of the project, not towards the design and what we say modeling of side of the project.
Yeah. So there hasn't been a lot of development, at least in my knowledge. I mean, there should be out there,
Uh-huh.
but companies like Bentley and them, they are putting out software that you can do for like cost estimating. There was one RIB, their software named is RIB, I guess. That used to be, and it was back in 2016 that they showed me this, but it basically had the component of doing the 5D, which is the added cost, right? So you can take your estimate from your estimator, and then take your schedule from P6 and combine it in there and really produce a true 5D. And a lot of time people say that, oh, we do 5D, and then I ask them like, okay, show me. And then they're really just doing some certain calculation and number, but not really integrating your bid estimate with your CPM schedule and showing it
Exactly.
together. So I won't say
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of development has been done in this side because first of all, they're complex, right? Like nature of scheduling itself and nature of
Yes.
estimating itself are so complex that combining them together, it would take certain more years and certain more tools to develop. And even the
Yeah,
software that
because it is on the
I'm
manual stage. It is on the
exactly.
manual stage.
Yeah, it's a
Just
lot of
importing the
manual
data from
things.
is not easy. Yeah, once you import it again, you need to do the manual what we say editing of all the data. That's why
Mm-hmm.
the P6 function budgeted total cost and everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I mean, Synchro comes in my mind. RIB, you can explore that software. It's a German software that they sell, but it was really expensive at that point. So I don't know if they're still developing and or how far they were. But that was one tool that they were using. I know there was another one. I forget the name of it. There's another tool that was doing the same process of doing 5D and 6D, which or 4D and 5D, right? So they were combining your cost and showcasing it in a visual format that your number would go. But I'll find a list and I'll DM you afterward. I got your contact
Sure,
here, so yeah.
that will be really helpful. And my next question would be, sorry to take your more
No, no, no.
time,
Go
but my
ahead, go
next
ahead. Nobody's
question is like,
raising a hand, so I think you're good.
okay, okay. My next question is going to be really helpful for everyone out over here. So, like me being a project engineer back in India, I came over here, I got to know certain things, and learning about certain things like skills like Primavera, and now getting into the industry. So the main thing is about getting an internship. So the biggest question
Mm.
comes over here is that whenever we apply, so we always
Mm-hmm.
refine our resumes according to the what we say, the descriptions given, then we put it on a certain what we say. A particular AI, what we say, website, it gives us the what we say, the words, and then
Yeah.
we implicate those words in our resume as well. But recently, I've been doing all these things. I got certain opportunities to work along, but they are not into planning, to be very honest. And planning opportunities were very, very less available. And
Yes.
with just the skill set of Primavera P6, I started looking out for various opportunities, but I didn't see many of the opportunities. The one which I saw where the I didn't know I got a lot of rejects over there. So what's the key way of applying to an internship in
Yeah.
whatever internship you want to go with a certain skill set you have? You don't have a expertise in that thing. You
Sure.
have certain skill set. So how can I like? But on the same time, I'm having a certain small skill set regarding the Primavera P6, but there is a huge
Yes.
field experience over there, which was there back in India. So
Yes.
how to implicate, how to use those two things and apply for whichever position we want to apply.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, I think that's a good question that a lot of people who are graduating would have is like, I have this certain skill set. How do I take this and get an internship, right? So I think at the beginning, it's all about presenting yourself and the way that you're presenting it out. I think that matters a lot because somebody looking at your profile or your resume, all they're relying it is on that data, right? Like I know that recruiting team here, they go through like 100 of resumes in a day, and then they use tools to quickly search through keywords. They're looking for certain keywords in your resumes that, okay, if they're looking for a job in BIM, they'll type in BIM, and whatever comes in, those people, they don't have time to go through whatever nice thing you have listed. Like they don't have time through going through what your project experience you had before. They're just looking for those keywords. So my first response to that would be is like, find those keywords that can get you into that domain. So if you're looking specific niche for like scheduling, you can find those keywords that really work in that domain and put those in your resume or on your profile, on your LinkedIn profile. You can start putting those words in there, which will get you picked up pretty quickly. So that's one thing I would recommend on the resume for everybody to start looking for those hot keywords. The second one would be like, grow your network. Like in terms of reaching out, a lot of people now relying more on like the social media platform. I mean, it's the truth of it. Like nobody has interest of resume. The recruiter, the amount of time they spend on LinkedIn is just too much, right? Rather than looking on resume, they're finding people on LinkedIn. I think I was reading a stat where like 6 people are getting employed every minute on LinkedIn now. It's huge,
Oh,
like it's huge that people are getting employed on LinkedIn. So I would start recommending everybody on the call today who's looking for a job, look at your LinkedIn profile, optimize it, and make it nice and in a way that they won't miss it. I'm looking at your profile, for example, Sagar. I just want to bring it up.
yeah, yeah,
Your profile right now. I mean, it looks good in terms of like you did your heading right, that you added all the keywords. If somebody's searching on LinkedIn, they'll get it. But then you have to optimize more down the line. You have to add some good cover page. So if somebody's looking at you, it should come up like that you're the master of P6. Like you know everything in and out of P6. P6, everything that needs to be done, they can reach out to you and kind of go from there. And also on the side, start building. I think now in the age and day we're not realizing how powerful the social media platforms are, and we just live in our own comfort zone where we feel like too much shy presenting ourselves out. A lot of time people feel like, oh, I should not put this out, or I should not. We should get out more and more and start presenting yourself more out. So I think social media is one tool that you can utilize the hell out of it, and kind of just go full double down on it and start presenting yourself out more and more, and start reaching out to companies that your targeted company. So rather than them trying to find you, reach out to them, right? That, okay, this is what I'm doing it. This is what I'm kind of, and then automatically will happen. Like people start looking at your resume or your LinkedIn profile, they'll see those things that, okay, this is the guy that I want. Now, in terms of your skill set, I would recommend that you might need to broaden up a little bit in your niche. So P6 itself, obviously, it is demanding. There are jobs out there which people just, you can specialize in that area only, but you then start thinking a little bit beyond that, right? A little bit beyond in the sense that I started from Revit, like that was my main software. I specialized the hell out of it and started it. But then slowly I realized that, okay, if I just be in Revit, I can limit myself and won't grow. Then I slowly started going outside of it and start saying, okay, what other integration I can do with it. So Revit is still my main platform. I still like go on full on it, but then I started adding layers to it, that, okay, now it comes to me, I can go and do 3D scanning in terms of VDC. So I added that on my resume. I can do drone mapping. I took a license and added that on my resume. So you have to start following the trends that are happening in industry and just keep on adding those layers onto you that builds your profile. So now I feel like I don't call myself BIM VDC anymore. I call myself more construction technologist, because now I have dealt with so many other areas that I can have more expertise around, right? So start broadening yourself in that sense, but keep that one single source and build around it, start building around P6.
Okay, okay, okay. That was really helpful. And second, the last but not least, so you said that like building a network and everything. Definitely, we have worked upon. Like I got certain opportunities by to be very honest, by connecting with the people, by basically like the same resume was rejected by the same company through ATS, but it got picked up by the same company when I had a communication with them. And
Yes.
we also, I also did like a straight walk-in to various offices in Dallas, and I
Okay.
was lucky enough to what we say, get couple of interviews over there, and I cracked it over there. Then moving forward, can you suggest certain websites? Like one of them is like the one which I knew was like Career Shift was there, and on which you get a lot of details about the companies and everything about the recruiters and everything, apart from LinkedIn. So similarly, do you know any other websites where we can go up and put up our data, like look out for the data, like contact numbers of various what we say, etc. So can you help me with that?
Uh, I don't, to be honest, I don't know any website that has that data, because I'm not looking out for anybody at this point. But recently I've been looking quite a bit on the ENR. If you know, familiar with ENR magazine, ENR they put out every year, they put out the listing of top 500, top something, right? So ENR would be a good resource to start looking at, because it has a lot of company's name starting from really low end to the high end. So I think with the student version you can get like a full book that they produce every year. So that would be a good resource to look at company names, and from there you can start searching who's the decision maker in that company. You can type it on LinkedIn and find out how many employees are there and start reaching out to specific people. At this point, maybe LinkedIn premium might help. If you have money to invest in it, it will give you a little bit more filter to dial down to decision makers, and you can start reaching out to them directly on here.
Oh, okay, so you told about ENR.
ENR,
Okay,
yeah,
definitely look out for that thing.
yeah, ENR. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, Aniruddha.
Yeah,
It was
Sagar,
really
thank
nice
you.
talking.
Yeah, thank you
Certain
so
things to
much.
know about BIM VDC and how to use Primavera and BIM has been like a more easy, like a more clear
Yes,
aspect I have got over here, and I'm thankful to you. Thank you
perfect.
very
Thank you,
much.
thank you so much. I'm gonna move down here to listening. Okay. Right. Anybody else? That was great conversation. I think a lot of people, you might have got something out of it. Anybody else in the audience want to have any questions? Raise hand. Or even if you guys have comments, feel free to jump on. Like I want to make it more interactive session where if you guys have something to tell or show upon, feel free to jump on the stage. Okay, so while we wait for people to kind of go through it. Okay, Rashmi, yeah, that's okay. Okay, Rashmi, I'm allowing you again, so go ahead.
I have like this is my first semester, so I cannot do internship. So in the summer, I'm planning to do some certifications. So can you recommend which certifications related to BIM or a field should I do to upgrade my resume
Sure.
and gain more knowledge?
So you're specializing in BIM, right? So I mean, certification wise, I'm not a huge advocate of certificate or even the degree in matter now, because I feel like the experience that you gain hands on matter more than number of certificate you can collect on your resume. So I would actually suggest you a little bit different approach is start learning the softwares, right? With student version, you can get many software, and I'm actually working on a newsletter to show how many different tools are there that you can get on a student version. So stay tuned for that. I think next week I'll be launching that newsletter out. So it will have like all the software that you can get as a student, but I think for you building yourself in Revit would be the biggest one. Like if you can get any certification, any course, any learning for Revit in BIM would be the highest recommended, because it has become the in industry standard now for designer, architect, any field you'd go. If you have Revit knowledge and experience, they'll start entertaining you or talking with you, right? So that's first thing that you should start looking for. And then Autodesk has a lot of other platform depending on which area that you get interested more in. So let me ask you, like, what is your undergrad background was? Were you in civil engineering or architecture?
Architecture.
Architecture, okay. So if you're in architecture, you would most likely want to go in an architecture firm and do some of those. If not, even the construction management company is good. So obviously Revit would be the highly recommended one. Another tool that I recommend, and it's a really small one, but people feel like, oh, this is just a PDF viewer. Bluebeam is a tool that you can start getting into yourself, which has become again in the industry standards for reading documentation. So if you can start learning that, software would be really handful that you can start getting yourself traction on, and then start kind of going from there. I'm gonna have Vaibhav jump on as well. So yeah, Vaibhav, if you have something, feel free to add on to it.
Yeah, I think because she asked about certification and things, I think having like a drone pilot certification really helps, because since now I'm working with a general contractor, we like look forward to having people, or like the project teams that we have, we are making sure that each project team has a member who is certified drone pilot, so that we don't have to go on site and do a drone map or like fly drone on their site. So that's something that we are trying to incorporate in our company, and we are looking forward to having people who are certified drone pilots, because I think Anirudh might know this, that if you fly drone without having a license, there is a heavy fee if something happens, and if you crash the drone and it lands on someone. So maybe that's something you can definitely look forward to. And there are like YouTube videos that you can look at for studying, and there are materials available on Google. So it's not a difficult test. It's something that you can definitely do if you have time during your winter or like summer break. So that's something you can do.
Yeah, perfect.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll look into that. And for this semester, like I've done Revit, Navisworks, and Synchro 4D.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think as much as you can soak in with the software, get your knowledge base built up, because at the end of the day, like all these tools will help you to kind of get yourself out of that crowd, right? Like if you have knowledge of these, even just the basic knowledge that you can talk about it would be a good starting point. That okay, I did a project in Synchro, I at least know the internals of it. I did a project in Navisworks, I know some of these. So you can start getting into those little bitty here and there. And these software, like you're in school, you get all these tools for free. So utilize them as much as possible. Take that opportunity. And another thing I would recommend is with student license, I think you get like LinkedIn. I don't know if it's free or not, but there is a learning platform that you can either get LinkedIn Learning, or there's some other platform that you can get courses on there. Like I think YouTube is best to learn, but sometimes YouTube can get too much diversified where you won't be able to get specific topic. But if you can get into LinkedIn Learning, you can really dive into a specific topic and really learn it. I think there's even courses for Synchro as well, that if people want to learn on LinkedIn, they can go and learn these softwares too.
Right, yeah. There are a lot of courses on LinkedIn learning platform.
Yeah, Vaibhav.
Yeah, I think Anirudh, all the like those who are still like in universities and are graduate students. Like personally, our university had free access to LinkedIn Learning. They gave us like access to LinkedIn Learning and like a couple of other platforms, so that we can go there and like try to learn whatever we want. So I guess like if you guys haven't explored that yet with your university, or if you haven't tried to ask them, you can go and ask them if they are providing a free subscription for LinkedIn Learning, and you can try going there and learning these courses.
Right, yeah.
Yes, perfect. Sounds good. Well,
Yeah.
if anybody else want to jump on and have question, feel free. While I have Vaibhav here, I want to talk a little bit with Vaibhav. I think we have a couple of minutes left. So how's your journey so far, Vaibhav? Like if you want to dive into a little bit, and then with your current role right now where you are, how it has been, like you're doing VDC, right? You're working in it. So how your experience so far?
Yeah, so I think personally, I felt that the experience that I gained with Baker during my internship, like for 7 or 8 months that I was working with you, it was really helpful for me to land a job, like with the general contractor I am now with. I feel like the hands-on experience that I got when I was in Florida working with you and Shane, it really helped me because the job that I'm working with now, I got it through LinkedIn, and I think this summarizes like the entire discussion, as in having hands-on experience in your internship and then working on your social media accounts like LinkedIn and connecting with people really helps you land into the job that you want. And apart from this, I think the experience that I'm having right now is like working with a general contractor is a bit different than working with a trade partner, because in working when you're working with a general contractor, you're more involved with BIM coordination and stuff, apart from like just modeling. I'm kind of working right now with a new software called CM Builder. Have you heard about that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we are trying to do like 4D scheduling, 3D site logistics on CM Builder, trying to explore new softwares. We are working with OpenSpace, Drone Deploy, and it's kind of not just like VDC and BIM, but yeah, even I'm kind of more involved into the construction technology aspect of the field. So the experience has been really great. It's been quite a bit of a learning experience, and yeah, I think I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I got with Baker, because that experience was something that I don't think I would have gained if I had like a different opportunity or a different internship. And that's something that I want to tell everyone, because what students do nowadays is they apply for like 10 internships or like have offers for 10 internships, and then they try to evaluate the pros and cons based on how well the internship is paying, or like how good the benefits are during the internship. But I would recommend everyone to not focus on the money aspect, and focus on what you can gain from that internship, because the time I applied for the internship, I had applied with Baker, and that was the only internship I accepted and went for, rather than focusing on too many things, because I was very clear about what I want to do and what experience I can gain from Anirudh, because he had been in the industry for like almost 8 9 years. So I would recommend that to everyone. Like, if you're going for an internship, make sure that you are choosing an internship in which you are interested in, and you know that you'll gain a lot of experience that will eventually help you
Yes.
land a full-time job.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I think Vaibhav, you summarize it very well, that if anybody is trying to go in an industry, pick your niche and stay to it,
Yeah.
like don't try to diversify too much where you feel like, and I know with a lot of the international student on the call, there is always going to be that sword hanging on your head that, oh, you have to land a job in 3 months. But trust me, it will be there. If you focus on yourself developing in certain aspect, it will automatically come. You just have to present it nicely. So there's two ways. One is develop your niche, and the second is present it in a way that it won't be ignored, right? And I think Vaibhav is a great example for that, because he did that exactly the thing. Like he went for one specific thing that, hey, I want to do BIM VDC, but then he really developed himself on a social media platform, or even in general, to stand out from the crowd, and just have that replicate, and then automatically it landed him a internship and full time after that, so this is a great journey that I think Vaibhav has shared us with us today. Thank you, Vaibhav. And we're
Yeah.
right on the time, guys. If you guys have any other question, feel free to reach out to me on the LinkedIn DMs. I'm recording this, so hopefully I should be able to post it somewhere. If you guys somebody missed it, we can go back and watch it. But it's been a good journey. I'm hoping to create some of these more in future, so that we can start hanging out more and then collect more information from each other, learn from each other. The whole goal is like we went through the same situation as some of you guys are and learned a lot of things through the industry, and we just want to share that knowledge, and that's what I'm doing right now, is trying to share my knowledge and experiences, just so that I can help somebody out, because I see a lot of DMs comes in. I feel like I was in the same boat and didn't get much response back, so I feel like it's my time to at least help some of these folks, some of you guys, to be successful where you're starting right now. So again, thank you for joining, and feel free to reach out, and we'll do more of these sessions. Thank you again, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and have a great week ahead. Thank you.